What if I told you the hardest part of buying your first business isn't the financial part? It's the battlefield inside your own mind. I'm going to pull back the curtain on this raw, unfiltered, emotional roller coaster journey every first time buyer faces. You've got doubts, you got sleepless nights, you got disappointment. The moment you wonder if you're crazy or brilliant. This is the side nobody talks about at these conferences or on searchfunder.com or X or LinkedIn. But I'm going to go there. Hi, I'm Jon Stoddard from dealflowsystem.net. I've helped buyers close over 33 million in deals and raise 50 million in funding. If you're working full time or just want to buy a business without wasting years on junk deals, hit that subscribe button right now and watch this video. Because today we're going to talk about this emotional roller coaster of buying your first business. All right, part one, the spark of ambition, the big bang. It all starts with a dream, not of running spreadsheets, not of chasing bankers, but of freedom, control, more money, ownership, time. And most first time buyers imagine walking into a business they own. Customers cheering, yeah, staff looking at them like the conquering hero. You know, that spark of ambition can be intoxicating, but it can also blind you. Take Warren Buffett, when he bought his first textile mill, which was Berkshire Hathaway, and he kept the name in the 60s, eventually shut it down. He didn't love fabric. He loved controlling cash flow. So that's kind of the overall lesson here that I'm trying to talk about is the dream must tie to cash flow reality. All right, part two, the pitfalls of due diligence. Here's where the dream meets reality. Rubber meets the road. Due diligence isn't just paperwork. It's psychological warfare. You're going to discover things that scare you or appear to cross your red line. There's like hidden lawsuits, could be unpaid taxes, equipment that barely works. There's real load, means you have to buy it right when you buy the company. Dalio once said, pain plus reflection equals progress. That's due diligence in one sentence. I had a student, really smart guy, was looking at a local manufacturing company. Numbers looked great until we dug into their vendor contracts. Like, it turns out that the entire supply chain was a single handshake deal with the founder. They've known each other forever. Now, if you were buying that company, new guy, didn't know the vendor contracts. If you were buying this company, would that one vendor risk make you walk away? Or would you still do the deal? And how? Comment down below. I want to hear it. This is where emotional fatigue sets in. You could be knee deep in spreadsheets, like legal documents going back and forth, all this redlining, and then banks asking for one more document. And they do. It feels like a financial proctology. But that's part of this game here. Get used to that. All right, part three, the negotiation gauntlet. When you get into negotiations, it's not just about numbers. So there's kind of a poker game going on. You don't know what other cards he has in his hand and what they're holding, but it's also staying calm. That's why people see like wear glasses. You can't see their eyes, giving away the tell. It's staying calm when the other side's bluffing. Jim Rome said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Discipline here means emotional detachment, being Buddha, detach yourself from the outcome. I remember help negotiating for a hearing aid company. We looked at a number of hearing aid companies. We liked the business model. Seller wanted $1 million in cash. We offered less with creative terms. Like it went back and forth for weeks. Hope, euphoric hope to disappointment, to hope again, to eventually disappointment. We passed on the deal. This all depends, like asking yourself a question, would you compromise your risk tolerance? Would you rather get a lower price with tougher terms or a higher price with seller financing? Let me know why. Comment down below. All of this negotiation going back and forth can sometimes make you feel powerless or invincible. The trick here, Well, let me make sure you this invincible part. You're not. You never will be. The trick is never tie your self-worth to a deal. I had a friend on LinkedIn, Navy SEAL, and now he's a baker. He said, doing the SEALs, being an operator was something I did. That's not who I was. He's now a baker with his wife, which is cool and different, right? Part 4, the closing day deluge. All right, let's say you survive due diligence and you get this SBA loan term number. You negotiated terms. Now the lawyer slides papers across the table. It can feel surreal because you're going to buy the cash flow, but you're also going into 10-year debt with a personal guarantee. That signature will transform you from hopeful buyer to responsible owner. And let me tell you, I had a podcast guest and also a student about a $27 million company with some other partners, but his net worth went from like $100,000 to $10 million right after he signed those papers. I'd love for everybody to do that. Now, I've had students describe it as standing on a cliff about to jump. You got a lot of excitement, fear, and some relief. I mean, what would be important to you? Like, what would you want to hear from the seller to feel confident to sign that LOI? What level of certainty would work for you? Is it 60, 70, 100%? Let me know. Comment down below. You're also going to feel this anticipation anxiety. It's also going to hit like, what happens after the ink dries? What am I going to do? All right. That's what we're going to talk about next. Part 5, life post acquisition. New beginnings for you. Well, welcome to the honeymoon phase. Let's say the staff brings you donuts. Customers seem happy for now. Everybody's coming in your office to meet you. You're walking around. Everybody goes, hey, new owner, right? So for a moment, you feel like the smartest person alive. Then a couple things happen. Lose a customer or something doesn't work out. And then imposter syndrome sneaks in. You think, can I really run this? Did I overpay? For God's sake. Now you're in the car. You own it. Les Brown still said in these occasions, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. This owning your first business is going to test you every single day. I had a student buy an e-commerce business. Day 1, felt like he was winning the lottery. Day 30, felt like he was drowning in emails. Now, for you, fast forward 3 years, what would success look like for you if you owned a company like this, exactly what you wanted to buy? What is it going to look like? Create that vision for yourself. And all of this, it's normal. This emotional landscape evolved from euphoria to some type of sustainable rhythm. All right, part 6, the dry spell nobody warned you about. Most first-time buyers imagine an endless buffet of great deals. They get on local dealer sites, they get on BizBuySell, they get on Cody's site, and it goes, oh, look at all these deals. I'm going to have so many deals to put LOIs. Reality, you're going to see feast, and then you're going to see famine. At first, every listing looks like a gold mine. It meets your criteria. And then you dive in, you get you sign the NDA, you get the terms, and go, oh my God. And then only a few happen. And then none. You're like, what the hell? Maybe there aren't as many people retiring. This silver tsunami happening. You start saying, there are no good deals left. Trust me, there are, but you'll have to dig off market, build relationships, centers of influence, and get really creative about finding deals. You got to plant seeds everywhere, online, off market, centers of influence everywhere. I had a student who thought every deal on BizBuySell was junk, and many of them are. Then he built an off market pipeline and found 2 amazing businesses in 90 days. And then he went on to raise money with main shares to buy the companies. Like, would you have kept searching or given up at that point? Because a lot of people do. Remember that 4 to 6% that start to want to buy a business actually end up doing it? Because it's pretty tough. This dry spell right in this dip tests your resilience than your spreadsheet skills. All right, part 7, practical takeaways. Here's what I tell every first-time SMB buyer. Expect an emotional roller coaster. Build systems to keep you grounded, whether that's a mentor, a deal review group, conversations with your wife, conversation with friends. Have a weekly check-in and revisit your why or pray when things get tough. Don't just know the numbers, know the narrative you're building. This is the hero's journey you're on right here. So you're going to go through this cycle. Big companies do this too. Private equity firms have teams who manage not just financial risk, but emotional risk. Like, it's about keeping decisions cool under fire and not getting desperate too. Here's the part most people miss. Your emotional discipline will make or break your first acquisition. All right, I'm going to wrap up. So that's the emotional roller coaster buying your first business. From spark of ambition to the trenches of due diligence to the high stakes poker of negotiation and not knowing what they really want to the rush and responsibility of closing and the ongoing self-discovery of ownership. Becoming a changed person after you buy the business, because you will be. If you expect it, plan for it, and manage it, you're going to thrive. I guarantee it. All right. If you found this useful, smash that subscribe button. And if you're serious about buying your first business, I can help. Head over to dealflowsystem.net. That's where I show you how to find, fund, and close your first deal the smart way. I'm Jon Stoddard, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh,